Hey, hi, hello everybody, hello, welcome back. My name is Katie and today I'm going to be going through my entire physical TBR. Today's mug, a nice K. We got some tea because it's the evening.
Hello. Hi. There's my cat. So I recorded this video and it ended up editing into a 38-minute video because I was explaining what every book that I showed was about. And since posting a 45-minute video last week, I started getting insecure and feeling like I can't post another long video. So I've made some edits and now it's just the title and the author of the book. So it's a shorter video, but I do have the other edited version. So I will put that as an unlisted video for now down in the description. If you want to see what some of these books are about, you are more than welcome to watch that. I might make it public, in a few days or something like that. But just wanted to let you know that's what's happening. All right, goodbye.
I thought this would be a kind of fun video to film and also to look back on because one of my goals of 2021 is to get my TBR down to 75 books. I believe it's currently sitting somewhere around 110, maybe somewhere between 110 and 120. I'm not exactly sure, but I do want to try and get my TBR down to 75 books. I think this will be kind of fun to look back on in the future and see what I have read, what I haven't read, kind of react to, etc. And also, I just have a lot of books that I'm still excited about, so I want to share them. So let's jump into probably one of my biggest stacks of books here, and that is the YA fantasy section. First up here is one of my more recent purchases, that is These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. We have We Hunt the Flame by Hafsa Faisal, Range the Dreamer, and Muse of Nightmares, both by Laini Taylor. This is a complete duology. I have the next 3 books in the Thief series by Megan Whalen Turner, The Queen of Atolia, The King of Atolia, and A Conspiracy of Kings. Crown of Feathers by Nikki Palprieto. I have the next 2 books in the Witchland series, Wind Witch and Blood Witch by Susan Dennard. Children of Virtue and Vengeance, which is the sequel to Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. The Demon King by Cinda Williams Chima. Legendborn by Tracy Dion. A Reaper at the Gates by Sabaa Tahir, the 3rd book in the Ember in the Ashes series. 3 Dark Crowns by Kendar Blake has been on my TBR for quite some time. Girls Made of Paper and Fire by Natasha Nagan. 2 books in a series I haven't started yet, Even the Darkest Stars and All the Wandering Light by Heather Fawcett. I have 2 of my favorite authors' books on this TBR. The first one is The Lives of Saints, and then I still have not read King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo. I have Jane Unlimited by Kristen Cashore, The Midnight Lie by Marie Rutkowski, Spin the Dawn by Elizabeth Lim. Finally, the last book on my YA fantasy section for this TBR is Serpent and Dove by Shelby Mahurin. So that is all the YA fantasy, I believe. Let's stick with speculative YA and I'll go into my YA sci-fi, a significantly smaller stack. I only have 4 books on this list. The first one is Sky Without Stars by Jessica Brody and Joanne Rendell. We have Thunderhead by Neil Shusterman. This is the 2nd book in the Arc of a Scythe series. Then I have Skyward and Starsight by Brandon Sanderson. Another shorter stack we have, we'll just stick in my YA and get those all out of the way, is YA contemporary. We'll go with one that's kind of on the bubble. This is a magical realism novel, and that is When the Moon Was Ours by Anne-Marie McLemore. Watch Over Me by Nina LaCour. The Astonishing Color of After by Emily X.R. Pan. Ridge of Clay by Marcus Zuzak. Finally, I have a short story collection called Hungry Hearts with authors like Anne-Marie McLemore, Sanja Manon is on here, Phoebe North, Rebecca Roanhorse, Rin Chupeco. I think this is going to be a wonderful read. I'm gonna jump over to my poetry collection now, and this is gonna go really fast because it's a poetry collection. There's no really synopsis or anything. So let's just get into it. The first one is Hope is a Thing with Feathers The Complete Poems of Emily Dickinson. Then I have Johnny Cash Forever Words, The Unknown Poems. Homebody by Rupi Kaur. Poems for the End of the World by Kate Wiesmer. September Love by Lang Leave, probably my favorite poet of all time. The Collected Poems of Sylvia Plath. And Submerge by K.Y. Robinson, who wrote one of my favorite collection of poems of all time. So I definitely want to pick up her second collection so I can call her one of my favorite poets of all time. I think I'm going to do the same thing with my classics stack. East of Eden by John Steinbeck, As I Lay Dying by William Faulkner, To the Lighthouse by Virginia Woolf, Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte, Don Quixote by Cervantes, Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy. I have all of Jane Austen's works on my TBR except for Pride and Prejudice, which I read this past year. So I have Sense and Sensibility, Mansfield Park, which I did not know it was this big, Northanger Abbey, Emma, and Persuasion. The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood, Leaves of Grass by Walt Whitman, and Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. I have a short stack behind me here of my nonfiction that I want to read, so I will jump right into that one. First up, we have Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind by Yuval Noah Harari, Alexander Hamilton by Ron Chernow. Yes, I bought this after I saw the musical. I don't care if you judge me. The Queens of Animation, the untold story of the women who transformed the world of Disney and made cinematic history. The Rise and Fall of the Dinosaurs, a new history of their lost world. And Stamped from the Beginning, a definitive history of racist ideas in America by Ibram X. Kendi. Next, I have my adult fiction. This is the non-speculative fiction, so anything that's not fantasy or sci-fi, but I didn't have enough in each genre to break it down by like my mystery thriller books and my romance books. So I'm just gonna do them straight through. First, we have Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. I do have two books on this TBR by Matt Haig, How to Stop Time and The Midnight Library. Wild at Heart by K.A. Tucker. A Little Life by Hania Yanagihara. I have All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. Party of Two by Jasmine Guillory. I have two books by Tana French, The Witch Elm and The Searcher. Verity by Colleen Hoover. I have a collection of short stories by Zadie Smith called Grand Union, and the last book in this sort of category is The Goldfinch from Donna Tartt. All right, let's jump into adult sci-fi. I have 5 books on this list, and then we'll close out with the mother load. First up, we have Dune by Frank Herbert, Trail of Lightning and Storm of Locusts, the first 2 books in the 6th World series by Rebecca Roanhorse. I have Middle Game by Shannon McGuire. Then we have To Sleep in a Sea of Stars by Christopher Paolini. My final stack, the adult fantasy. There are 25 books. Let's start with The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter. This is the first book in a series. The Last Wish by Andrei Sapkowski. We have another thief story. This is Foundryside by Robert Jackson Bennett. Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman. I have the last 2 books in the Broken Earth trilogy by N.K. Jemisin, The Stone Sky and The Obelisk Gate, which I always say out of order. This is the second book. This is the last book. Kings of the Wild by Nicholas Ames. In 2020, I finally read The Fellowship of the Ring by J.R.R. Tolkien, but I still have The Two Towers and The Return of the King on my TBR. Fire and Blood by George R.R. Martin. Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas. The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. Also by V.E. Schwab, I have Vicious, The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. Jade City by Fonda Lee. I have 2 books by Erin Morgenstern, The Starless Sea and The Night Circus. The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. And last but certainly not least, I have my Brandon Sanderson books that I need to get to. These 4 are all part of his larger Cosmere. I have The Hero of Ages, which is the 3rd book in the Mistborn trilogy. I read the first 2 last year, so I've just got to finish this series out. Warbreaker, which is a standalone. I have Elantris, and finally the first book in the Stormlight Archives, which is his 12-book epic high fantasy series. She's chunky. So those were all of the books on my physical TBR as of January 1st, 2021. I'm curious. I think it will be fun to check back in. If you've made it to the end of this video, tell me which book you think I should read immediately off this TBR, this giant TBR, because obviously I've got to narrow it down somehow. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like this video and subscribe if you want to. You don't have to. I'm just happy you're here, and I will see you next time. Bye.